أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الصلاة والسلام على محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Now I have a salawat please, a really loud one. I can hear you, come on, all together. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Okay, that's really shush. Right, so what are we going to do today? It's the 1st of Muharram, 1442, a new year. And it's a different sort of year. Because normally we would be at the center, we'd be sitting all together. But we're not this year. And that's okay too, because we can make our homes into Hussainiyas. So I'm hoping just like Ramadan, the first thing you're going to do is make a Muharram corner. I got all those pictures back from you in Ramadan. They were phenomenal. So I want to do this. Can you do the same thing for Muharram? Make a little corner. If you don't have a spare room, it doesn't matter. Just a tiny little corner. Have an alam. Lay out something good. Put a banner. You can make banners up. You've got no school at the moment, so you've got lots of time to make banners. You can make a banner. You can let Ya Hussein on it. You can write the name of all the 72 martyrs. If you go on Q Fatima, I think we have a poster that you can print out, or you can make it yourself. So these are the things that we can do in this month. There's some more things that we're going to talk about. But first, before I say anything at all, we're going to recite a surah of Quran. Then we're going to recite a marthia. And many of you have the book Ya Hussein. It looks something like that. You may have an older copy, but we're going to recite a marthia. Then we're going to have a little talk. And then we're going to do a noha, and you're going to do Matam with me. And I'll explain all of those as we go along. But first of all, let's recite a surah of Quran. And I know that you all know Surah Al-Ikhlas. So will you recite it with me, please? All right, let's go. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Qul huwa Allahu ahad. Allahu samad. Lam yalid walam yulad. Walam yakul lahu kufuwan ahad. Sadaqallahu al-azim. We're now going to recite a marthia from this book. And because we're going to talk about at the end about Imam Hussein leaving Medina, the marthia we're going to recite is called At the Grave of Fatima. So if you've got your books with you, if you haven't, it's online. So download it and recite it with me. Okay, are you good? All right, let's go. At the grave of Fatima was Hussein bidding farewell. I have to leave Medina to uphold my grandfather's values. At the grave of Fatima was Hussein bidding farewell. I have to leave Medina to uphold my grandfather's values. Yazid is asking me to do his bay'at. Yazid is asking me to do his bay'at. That would be saying goodbye. That would be saying goodbye to Islam as we know it. At the grave of Fatima was Hussein bidding farewell. I have to leave Medina to uphold my grandfather's values. I'm taking our whole house. Islam needs them all. I'm taking our whole house. Islam needs them all. Even baby Asghar, your youngest mujahid. At the grave of Fatima was Hussein bidding farewell. I have to leave Medina to uphold my grandfather's values. This Hajj, our sacrifice, will be our family and friends. This Hajj, our sacrifice, will be our family and friends. Islam needs our blood. Islam needs our blood to reform the Ummah. At the grave of Fatima was Hussein bidding farewell. Ma, I have to leave Medina to uphold my grandfather's values. Can we have a salawat? Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajil farajahum. Now, our topic for the next 12 days is going to be Surah Yusuf at Surah number 12. And I'd like you to just memorize 5 words from Ayah 3. They're on your screen. Nahnu naqussu alayka ahsan al-qasas. Nahnu, we. Naqussu, we tell you a story. Alayka, to you. Ahsan al-qasas, the best of stories. And you know, qasas is not just an ordinary story. It's a story that's passed down from generation to generation to generation to generation. That's called a qasas. So can you remember that? Nahnu naqussu alayka ahsan al-qasas. You say it with me? Come on, one more time. Nahnu naqussu alayka ahsan al-qasas. Now we're going to talk about the stories of Surah Yusuf and other stories too. But before that, a little bit about Muharram. This is Muharram at home. We are at home. We can't go to the mosque. But we're going to make, like I said, Husainiyas at home. That's what we're going to do. Going to make our own Husainiyas. And do you know, every time you have a Majlis at home, even if it's listening to one online, Sayyidah Fatima Zahra comes to visit your home. How awesome can that be? My goodness. She visits. So make sure that your Muharram corner is the best of corners. This is the day, the first day, when Zakaria, you know Prophet Zakaria? He prays to Allah. He was 75. That's a bit old. I don't say it's old because I'm 61. But he was 75 and he wanted a baby because he looked around him and he said, oh my goodness, there's nobody who can lead this community. There's nobody. And he says, I think I please Ya Allah, give me a good son. And it's on this day that he prayed. So today, pray so much to make the impossible possible. Just raise your hands in dua, make the longest of lists and pray. Really, really important. What is really important about Muharram is what we call azadari. That's when we actually cry for Imam Hussein. And why do we cry? I remember when I was little, I found it really hard to cry. But my mama used to tell me, even if you can't cry, put a handkerchief over your face and pretend. Pretend to be sad because you are crying for those on whom there was injustice done, those who are bullied. And it tells you that you will never, ever bully anyone, ever in your life. And if you see anybody who's being bullied, you will make sure you help them. And this is what it's all about. And the Majlis is somewhere where we learn what to do. Marthias are so important. That's why we recited one before. You know, Imam Sadiq. Oh, it's a wonderful story about a man called Ja'far ibn Affan, who came in and Imam said, come sit near me. And he sat near him and Imam says, I hear that you recite marthias really well. And he said, yes, I do. So he said, will you recite one? And he recited one and everybody was crying. And Imam told him, let me tell you that the angels that are closest to Allah, they actually come here and they hear what you've recited and they cry with us. And all your sins are forgiven. And you are for Jannah. Jannah becomes wajib for you. So every single day in Muharram, recite a marthia. And why only in Muharram? I mean, throughout the year, except for Kushalis, Wiladat and Eids. I mean, recite a marthia. My grandma used to do that every single day of the year. And now I know why. And you must have a handkerchief with you. Or you must. Because you collect your tears in them. And those handkerchiefs are so good. When it hurts somewhere, you could put it where it hurts. It's like a comfort blanket. It really is. You keep it with you, my God, it makes everything better. Again, we have so many ahadith, but one of them in particular says, if one tear, one tiny tear, and it could be as small as a fly's wing, if one tear went into Jahannam, the whole of the fire of Jahannam would be put out. Now, there's so many hadith about how it forgives your sins as well. Because when you become soft-hearted, you stop being mean. And it's really important to do that. Oh, Matam is so important. You know, beating your chest. So, so important. Because that tells you you're Husseini. That really does. Okay. So we're going to do that at the end. But it actually says anybody who does Matam, you know for a fact that's how you distinguish them. That's that, like they're saying. It's just like my hijab. When I go out and I see somebody in hijab and they say Assalamu alaikum, because I know that they're Muslims. It's like a no-brainer. Just like that. When somebody does Matam, you know that they're Husseini. So these things are really, really important. But now back to our topic. And you remember what I told you to remember? Nahnu nakussu alayka ahsan al-qasas. We tell you the best of stories. Now, there are two surahs in the Quran that are sort of really unique. Surah Yusuf talks about Prophet Yusuf. Surah Taha talks about Prophet Musa. Like, a lot of it is about Prophet Musa. But this one is like a one whole story about the life of Prophet Yusuf. So, first of all, who was Prophet Yusuf? Who was he? Prophet Yusuf was the son of Prophet Yaqub. So in English, there's Joseph and Jacob. So Yusuf was the son of Yaqub. Yaqub was the son of Ishaq, Isaac. And Ishaq was the son of Abraham. You got to remember that. Yusuf, Yaqub, Ishaq, Ibrahim. Can you remember that? Let's start again. Yusuf, Yaqub, Ishaq, Ibrahim. Okay, Ayy. It's not that difficult to remember, isn't it? Ibrahim had Ishaq and Ismail. Ishaq had Yaqub, and Yaqub had Yusuf. Prophet Yaqub had a large family. I mean, lots of sons, 12 sons, and he was affluent. He had a good position in society. He had a big farm, but to show gratitude to Allah for what Allah had given him. Gratitude means thanks. To show thanks to Allah for what Allah had given him, he was very, very generous. He had a person morning and evening who would go out outside his house, wherever anybody was passing, and say, whoever would like a meal, please come to the house of Yaqub. Always, there would always be something there. And you know, I remember my mom, when anybody came to visit, she would never allow them to go back empty-handed. Never. She would say, you have to have something. So she would make something always for somebody who came. And these are habits we learn from the prophets. When you go to visit someone, you can't go empty-handed. Even if you pick up a daisy and you say, I picked this for you, or a leaf, it doesn't matter. But if you take something that's cooked from home, it could be toast. It really doesn't matter. But you never go empty-handed. You never let anybody come home and leave empty-handed. And this is what we learn from them. So he fed the poor for years. Now one day, Prophet Yusuf comes to him. He's about 9, 10, 11, 12, I don't know. These are the years that are given. You know, history happened a long time ago. People say different things. Now what does he say? He comes to his dad. And can you see on your screen, there's a picture. Now look at the picture and listen what he says. He says, Ya abati, oh my dad, inni ra'aytu, I saw, ahada ashara kawkaban. I saw 11. Ahada ashara is 11. Kawkaban is stars. I saw 11 stars. Was shams, do you know what a shams is? You're right, the sun. Wal qamara, and what is qamar? The moon. Okay, so I saw 11 stars, I saw the sun, and I saw the moon. Ra'aytahum li sajidin. I saw them doing sajda. Oh my goodness. So he tells his son, Qala ya bunayya, oh my son, La taqsus ru'yaka. Don't tell this dream to anyone. Ala ikhwatika, especially your 11 brothers. For yakidu laka kaida, because they might plot against you. So, and he tells his son, This dream means that Allah will teach you how to interpret dreams, how to know the meaning of dreams. And this means that there is something really, really amazing that's going to happen to you. That's what he tells his son. And from then on, because now remember, Yusuf's and Binyamin. Binyamin is Benjamin, Yusuf is Joseph. Their mom was called Rahil. In English it's translated as Rachel. These two sons were really, really good boys. Right? They always listened to their dad. They were never rude. They were never mean. They never answered back. And they were close to their dad. They were so respectful. But after this dream, he was more anxious about Yusuf. Because he knew, because he's a prophet, he knew something was going to happen to Yusuf that would make him somebody really great. But the journey would be very, very difficult. So he was even more watchful over Yusuf. He used to give Yusuf a lot more attention. And the brothers, they were not very good. They were not as good as Binyamin and Yusuf. They were slightly mean. And they didn't like this. They didn't like their dad liked Yusuf and Binyamin more than that, especially Yusuf. And so they made a plan. And we'll talk about their plan tomorrow. But today, I want to talk about dreams. What are dreams? Everybody has dreams. But what are they? So, first of all, let's look at what the Quran says. The Quran says that when you sleep, your soul goes somewhere else. So sleep and death are sisters as such. It leaves your body and it goes to another world, a world of dreams. Imam Baqir says that when the souls go, sometimes in your dreams, you see what they have seen in the heavens. But if you see what they've seen on the way there, that's not something that you should worry about. So what are dreams and what do we see? So the Ahlul Bayt tell us there are 4 categories of dreams. Can you remember that? How many categories of dreams? 4. The first one is Bushra min Allah. It is good news from Allah. And when you see something good happening to you, take out sadaqah, pray 2 rakats namaz and say, Ya Allah, can you make this dream come true for me? Don't tell anyone. You shouldn't tell anyone except those who love you. Maybe mom and dad. Maybe mom and dad and those who know how to interpret dreams. Just don't tell anybody, okay? Remember what Prophet Yaqub told Prophet Yusuf. Don't tell anybody, not even your brothers. The second type of dream is tahzinun min al-shaytan. They are dreams that's sadness from shaitan. Shaitan makes you see things that are not good. He makes you sad. So if you see a dream that's not very nice, again, take out sadaqah, pray 2 rakats namaz. Ya Allah, please don't make this dream come true. That's what you do. I remember many, many years ago, there was a little boy that I used to talk to. And he used to have nightmares because he didn't live in a very good household. Because his papa used to beat him up. That's not what you're supposed to do. Anyway, he went to live with foster parents. But he always used to dream, and his dreams were horrible. So I remember one day trying something out that I had read, and I told him, when you go to sleep, take with you a big flat black pen, a marker pen. Just sleep with it. And when you have these dreams, imagine that you're putting a big cross on the nightmares. And he did that for many days, and he got better. So that's one thing that you might be able to do. The third thing is Athghathul Alham, which is meaningless dreams. Most of our dreams are that. They're nonsense, really. Mostly it's things that we're sort of thinking about during the day. And then if you're thinking about something during the day and you dream about it later on, that's not really a dream. That's just something in the subconscious that's coming out. So that happens quite a bit. Sometimes people dream of their fears, of their anxieties, of their aspirations. If you don't like spiders, you'll see spiders. If you don't like snakes, you'll see snakes. So these are the sort of things that are sort of not very meaningful. It's not that something's going to happen. It's okay. Take out sadaqah all the time. 2 rakats namaz. Ya Allah, I don't want those sort of dreams. The fourth sort of dream is a dream which is sort of a warning. It may feel like a nightmare, but it's a warning. It's Allah telling you. It's a gift from Allah. Imam Sadiq said that And if an ordinary person gets a dream, and that's a dream about them doing something wrong, and the consequence of that wrong, like if see you're being punished for something, that's Allah saying, hello, stop doing what you're doing. Don't do what is not right. If you're doing something that is wrong, make it right. And we have so many stories about that too. So dreams are something we should think about. And like I said, the best thing to do, absolutely best thing to do, is if it's good, take out sadaqah and ask Allah to make it true. If it's bad, take out sadaqah, ask Allah not to make it true. If it's something that's telling you you're doing something bad, stop doing what is bad. Pray 2 rakats. Ya Allah, help me not to do that which is wrong, and take out sadaqah again. Absolutely awesome. But to get the best of dreams, there are some things you have to do before you go to sleep. And it must be a ritual every single day. These are the sort of things you should do. So number 1, do wudu. Well, before you do wudu, brush your teeth. Before you go to sleep, you have to brush your teeth. This is what the Prophet said. I'm going through what the Prophet and the Masumeen taught us. Brush your teeth, do wudu, recite Surah Al-Fatiha, the 4 Quls and Ayatul Kursi. I repeat again. Surah Al-Fatiha, the 4 Quls and Ayatul Kursi, and also recite La ilaha illallah. If not 10 times, at least 3 times. Okay? So there are so many ahadiths about this. 10 times is even better. Recite the names of the Masumeen. I mean, that can't be that difficult. Ya Allah, Ya Muhammad, Ya Ali, Ya Fatima, Ya Hassan, Ya Hussein, Ya Imam Sajjad. You know, all these names, recite them right to the end. And then Ya Sahibul Zaman, Adrikni wa la tuhlikni. Before you go to sleep, do a tasbih of Sayyidah Fatima Zahra. Okay, by that time, if you're asleep, it's okay. But try, put it under your pillow. Do a tasbih of Sayyidah Fatima Zahra. Leave a small light on. Never sleep in the dark. It's makruh to sleep in the dark. And sleep on your right side with your right palm under your hand like that. That's recommended if you can. If you can't, it's okay. These are all recommendations. But definitely do wudu. Because if you do wudu, the angels pray for you all night. It's like you've prayed all night. These are things to get good dreams. They're amazing things that happen if you do that. But right now, I'd like to go to Karbala. And before that, just something that I want you to remind you to do every single day. So you're going to recite a marthia in your Muharram corner. You will either listen to Majlis or read something about Imam Hussein. You will do Matam with Noha. You will recite the ziyarah of Aba Abdullah. And oh my goodness, even for tabarruk. Even if you have marthia, they call it, right? And our forefathers were very, very clever. They made sure they called tabarruk Fatiha. So every time we saw something, we recited Surah Al-Fatiha. But even if it's a glass of water, every time you see water, you will say, Assalamu alayka ya Aba Abdullah. That's what you're going to do. But we're going to go to Karbala today. So I'd like you to look down and close your eyes. And I'd like you to imagine the people of Medina. They were so sad. This was in Rajab, because Imam Hussein told them that I am leaving. I am just leaving. He said, I have to leave. And they said, please don't go. Please, we really want you to stay. He said, I have to go. I have to go because people have changed what Islam is. And I want to make sure they know the true Islam of my grandfather and my dad. And I want to do Amr bil Ma'ruf, teach them to do good. And Nahi anil Munkar, stop them from doing wrong things. Everybody was crying. First thing he did is he went to his mama's grave and he said, Mama, I have to leave. I have to go. He was so upset because he loved his mom so much. He didn't want to leave her. He didn't want to leave her grave. And he closed his eyes for a minute and he rested his head on the grave and he saw his mom in his dream. And mom says, Hussein, I will never leave you. Never. I will be with you all the way. And he goes to his grandfather and he says, I have to go. And he says goodbye. Then he comes out. And there's a whole lot of camels and horses. And they're all in a line. And he's taking his whole family, even the babies. Everybody was going. So him and Hazrat Abbas helped everyone get onto the horses and camels, and suddenly somebody came and whispered in his ear. And he told the people of Medina who are all waiting there, they didn't want him to go. And he said, just move away because my sister is coming. And then Sayyidah Zainab comes out and Kulthum comes out, and very, very gently he helps her get onto the horse. After the day of Ashura, when there was no one, and she helped everyone get onto the horses, she remembered this day. She remembered how her brothers helped her onto the horse, and on that day there was absolutely no one. So I'd like you to close your eyes and ask Allah to be able, in the name of Imam Hussein, to help all those who are suffering. There's so many people who are ill. There's so many people who have died. There's so many people who are in trouble. Let's pray for them first. So close your eyes and pray for them. And then we will do some Matam. Okay. Now I know from all these years that I've been with you in the children's majlises that the most favorite Matam that you have is Oh My Askar, and all of you know it. So you're going to do this with me. Put your hand on your chest and beat your chest. Even if it's gently, it's okay. But beat your chest. That makes you Husseini. You can do that with me? Come on. Oh my Asghar, you went to the battlefield. You never came back. You asked for some water, they gave you an arrow. You never came back. Recite with me, come on. Oh my Asghar, you went to the battlefield. You never came back. You asked for some water, they gave you an arrow. You never came back. Who shall I feed now? Who shall I clothe now? Who shall I rock now? Oh my Asghar, you went to the battlefield. You never came back. You asked for some water, they gave you an arrow. You never came back. Your cradle's empty, my heart is broken. Where can I find you? Oh my Asghar, you went to the battlefield. You never came back. You asked for some water, they gave you an arrow. You never came back. It's dark in the grave, son, the sand is burning. How will you sleep, my son? Oh my Asghar, you went to the battlefield. You never came back. You asked for some water, they gave you an arrow. You never came back. They've brought some water, Sakina will not drink, she's bringing it for you. Oh my Asghar, you went to the battlefield, you never came back. You asked for some water, they gave you an arrow. You never came back. I'm going home, son, what will I say when Surah asks, where's Asghar? Oh my Asghar, you went to the battlefield, you never came back. You have a salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajil farajhum. We'll now recite Surah Al-Fatiha for all the marhumin, especially those of your family, those who are ill and those who are in trouble. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. صدق الله العظيم. Close your eyes, look down, ask Allah to give the thawabs to all the marhamin. Pray for those who are ill and pray for those who are in trouble. Let's recite the dua for protection. لي خمسة أطفي بها حر الوباء الحاتمة المصطفى والمرتضى وأبناهما والفاطمة. لي خمسة أطفي بها حر الوباء الحاتمة المصطفى والمرتضى وأبناهما والفاطمة. And now the ziyarah of Abu Abdullah. You recite it with me. Come on. السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله وعلى الأرواح التي حلت بفنائك. عليك مني سلام الله أبدا ما بقيت وبقي الليل والنهار ولا جعله الله آخر العهد مني لزيارتكم. السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. Inshallah, I'll see you tomorrow. Take care, stay safe. في أمان الله كريم. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم.